But this actually became our kind of really fork in the road and
Right.
big crossroad where we could make a change that's going to change the course of our entire lives.
Yeah.
And we get to make a decision. If we take this, we get to, for one, be a difference for our boys.
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to have this reference points now where our lives completely change because their lives are going to change. And they're always going to remember because they all have to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
They all have to choose for themselves, follow Christ or follow myself.
Well, this is a special conversations episode. We've decided that we want to talk to different campus pastors at ONE&ALL and get to know them. And today is the special one because I have our West Covina campus pastor, Matt. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Drew. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for even thinking of me.
Yeah, of course. Long story short, well, not really, because we'll probably expand on this, but we're cousins.
Yes.
Through marriage. And the joke around the church is that who are we not related to?
We're bringing all our family to the churches, correct. To every campus.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yes, for sure.
I always hear a story of somebody at least going like, yeah, I was at Rancho and I was talking to this girl named Cassie and then she said, she kept bringing up your name and I was like, Drew. And she's like, oh, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you not related to? And then I'll go, well, do you know that's actually Matt's sister-in-law? And then they're like, wait, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And then they're like, wait, you guys are cousins?
Yeah. They got my sister-in-law there, her family, my mother-in-law, father-in-law. They're all over there.
They're all over there, yeah.
Maybe that's a sign they didn't come to West Covina.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if you want to edit that one.
That's funny.
Okay, good. All right.
But yeah, so we're obviously cousins and you are the reason pretty much why I'm at ONE&ALL. And
wow, the whole reason, Drew?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Probably start off with 2015.
I think. Dang, that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was in a transition of, genuinely, I was deciding if I actually wanted to do this church thing. I decided if I wanted to actually follow after Jesus. I was down and out. I was at a place where I didn't feel like I fit anywhere. My siblings were at a different church that I liked, but I never felt connected. I always felt like I had to protect my mom and grandma because it was downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so every time it was like a Sunday night service.
You're a more safety team back then. Yeah, for sure.
And I just remember being like, I don't know about this, and then not confused of what I'm supposed to do in life. I think I was 19, about to be 20.
Yeah.
And I remember you needed help moving from West Covina to San Dimas.
Yeah.
And so I helped you paint the house.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Our home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as we were painting, obviously, we were just talking and I kind of told you where I was at and like, I don't know. And I was an anxious kid for sure. So me going somewhere by myself was a no-go. Like I would not
Stepping
go
out
anywhere.
On your own. Yeah, that's tough.
And I just remember you inviting me and being like, hey, why don't you come check out CCV? And I think you'll like it and all this stuff. And so I went with you guys and fell in love with the church. And then I started coming out with you guys like almost every weekend. And then I told you, I was like, hey, I kind of want to get involved with like the audio stuff because I wanted to be an audio engineer. And I always explain it this way is the reason why I wanted to be an audio engineer is because I just wanted to have my own studio. And so where nobody can bother me and I can make money.
Be on your own. Nobody to report to.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And then I remember you were at the time, which is crazy. At the time you were just you were a team member.
Yes.
And you were the connections
Coach.
Yes.
Right. Coaches. We're called coaches.
And so then you're like, oh, perfect. Like I know exactly how to get you involved. And then you literally, you got me involved. And from then on, I just got involved. And then, and then that's, I think a year later, like towards May of 2016. Is when I decided to become a pastor, or that I wanted to become a pastor.
Yeah.
And I remember telling you, and you were like super excited about it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And then I went to Vanguard for the first year, and then I had to come back because Vanguard was too expensive. But I remember when I went to LPU, Robbie Regassa, who's the head of audio here, shout out to Robbie, he's my best friend, was telling me like, hey, we need somebody to be the audio or tech manager because they're about to launch a campus called West Covina or at West Covina. And I was like, oh, no way. And then he's like, plus the plus of this position that you could potentially get is that Matt's going to be the campus pastor. And I was like, no way. And I just thought it was so cool when they announced it. And I was like, what the heck?
That was a good duo, baby. That was a good,
exactly.
Heck yeah.
And so I was in that position for I think 2-3 years. Before being the digital engagement pastor. But it was, I mean, talk about God orchestrating both of our lives, for sure. From the moment of me literally on the brink of just like, I can follow Jesus on my own, if that, you know, and have whatever. And for you to just have that pastoral, you already had that pastoral heart. And that's what I want to explore more is like, okay, so got my side out of the way.
That was a good side though. Thanks. Right. For sure. Thank you for sharing all that.
It's powerful. And you mean a lot to me and just, before I get emotional.
Thank you, Drew. Well, you mean a lot too, man. From knowing you as a baby. Right. You could see you grow up and to see who God has called you to be, stepping out in faith too. Because that's a lot of uncomfortability. And I'm sure we'll get into that when we're sharing what's going on. But you did it. You stepped out and you took it. You took some chances. But God already had it ordained and planned for you, man. So
no, thank you. Yeah.
I'm proud of you, Drew.
No, thanks, Matt. You're going to make me cry. But let's talk about you. Let's talk about you're the campus of West Covina for now 5
years. 5 years. Yes, I made it. I made it on 5 years. Can you believe it? They kept me on.
Woo! You have been, I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, Matt is the real deal. Matt has a pastoral heart. He wants to, it's not that you know how to be on stage. It's the fact that you actually care for the people that God is bringing to you. And obviously that comes with experience. It comes with training. And so let's dive into that. Like how, obviously I know your story, but for people who are listening,
for sure.
How did you get to where you're at today?
Well, if you think back to when you were talking about at the time I was serving as a coach, my family and I had just come over to the church when we came over, and my first thing to do is always get involved. Always get plugged in, and then plugged in into serving. Because that's how we were raised. We grew up, and you knew that small church that we grew up in, Ballin Park. And so coming from a small church, and we always have to do everything from every cable to everything that's going to happen. We all made it happen.
Correct.
Right? Or else it ain't going anywhere. And so from cutting the lawns at the church, as a kid, to learning cables. And when we've all grown up, that's all I knew. And so for me to get connected, especially coming into such a big church at that time, I knew I had to get involved somehow. And so I did two things. I started doing worship, got into the worship team because I love playing keyboards. I love worship and loved being involved that way. But at the time too, I had become a father, as you know. I'm a father, 3 boys, married. Now I've been married almost 23 years now.
Dang.
But 3 boys. But at that time, my kids were little. And at that time, I had to have some good conversations with God because I was really trying to figure out where we're going. What's my direction? What's my vision for our family, for my boys? Because it kind of drifted. It started drifting. I always believe in direction determines your destination.
Oh, 100%.
My degrees had slowly started shifting because I wanted my boys to be in sports. I wanted them to experience that. I'd grown up in church, of course, serving all the time, but we were in church all the time. Almost, it could have been almost every day, nights. We had so many different things. It's not bad. That's not bad at all. But that's all. I wanted my boys to be able to experience being involved in sports. So we got them involved in baseball. And all that to say, I was actually a musician. I wasn't good at sports, and that was their thing. They loved it. So we got them into sports, soccer, baseball, basketball. They turned out to be really good. So we kept really pursuing different teams, having a lot of fun. All-stars or travel teams, things like that. But I started to notice at a point in life where we were drifting not towards God. We're still, of course, saved. We still love Christ and the church. but they became secondary. And I remember my wife and I talking, saying, we both grew up, me and her, we both grew up in church that way, from the same background, and being connected and serving, and where our life really was always around Christ and always around being involved in the church. That's the real community. It wasn't happening for our boys. And we said, we can't go that direction.
Yeah.
If we don't change course, I don't want to lose my boys, because they are, God calls us to be parents, and I wanted to be a good dad. I still do, something, but I didn't want to lose my boys to them missing out on a experience with Christ and knowing him and a journey and walking, not just come to church. Can we fit in church before travel game? Okay, let's go to this one. Boom. What's the next game? What's the game time? And so we knew we had to make a change. And so I made a daring prayer, and this is the Bible, Isaiah 6:8, here am I, send me.
Yeah.
But I didn't quite know what that meant. I'm like, I'm thinking, okay, God, I'm going back all in. Show me. Is it getting back into more serving again? Is it worship? And let's see where this goes. But God has started opening doors where somebody because I was a coach, got to know all the different pastors of the church, because I was trying to get, we were coaching anybody that's new. If somebody clicked on the new, I would be the person to call them and say, hey, I'm going to be your personal coach. Let me help you navigate through the church, get you plugged in. What questions do you have? So I got to know all the pastors. Yeah. And so at that season, that would have been probably 2018, where the Pastor Jeff was looking to renew the whole board, elders board. Right. So someone had referred me, say, hey, I think you'd be a good board member. I'm like, really? I'm not even that old. I thought you had to be old to be on an elder,
Yeah, right.
But I was so old, in my 40s back then. So I didn't think I was that old. But they said, no, you'd be great. You don't have to be that old, but you've been here a while already now. You've been serving. And we think you'd be a good candidate. And I said, okay, if this is what God wants, cool. Yeah, I think maybe this is the opportunity, and this is where God wants me back in. Because I want my family back in, and I want my boys to see we're all in. We're serving. We're involved. And that's not secondary now. We can still do sports and things, but this is first. God's first, and then we're always serving at the church somewhere, some way. Yeah. And so I knew God still had that calling on me. So I said, okay, maybe this is it. Started that conversation, got all the way to the end. I was about to become a board member. Pastor Jeff has all a different panel, all the different perspectives and our wives, and we're all having conversations. And Pastor Jeff says, hey, tell me about you. And we had a great time. Yeah. But he started saying, like, I know you're here to be an elder, but I think God has something different. I'm like, well, what? What are we doing? I'm only here for the board. Yeah. I don't know what else we're doing here. And he said, well, we're starting a new campus, West Covina. And I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm a sales guy, right? I've been in sales for 20 years. Business. I went to USC for business. Yeah. That's all I've done is sales. So I said, oh, yeah, Pastor Jeff, for sure. I'll be praying for that guy if I'm an elder. I can't wait to come alongside this guy or girl. Whoever's going to be the next campus pastor, West Covina, will help them. I'd love to share some of my experience, encourage them, love on them. And he said, no, I think you might be him. And I said, what? I'm looking around like, are you serious? My wife's starting to think, did you apply for that job? And you didn't tell me? And I said, no way. No, that ain't it. I didn't apply. I promise. I'm like, he's got to be joking. He's got to be joking. But that began the conversations of what, Pastor Jeff had felt God was telling him, that's the guy, become the campus pastor. And I didn't believe it, though. I didn't believe it for so many reasons, insecurities. And I thought my schooling, I let God down. I'm like, well, if God wanted me to do that, why didn't I listen? Or why didn't I see it? Why didn't I ever know that? I thought I was in the Word. I was praying, and I said, why didn't God reveal that to me? I would have prepped. I blew it. And I kind of started taking myself out of the picture already, from being a pastor. Yeah. But all that, in those conversations with Pastor Jeff, realized how God had been preparing me. Yeah. From a kid, calling and everything, and even including all of the business and schooling. Even though I'm not as smart as you, I'm not. I didn't go. Get out of here. I didn't go to Vanguard and things, But I knew God can use all of that. So I said, okay, let's give this a try. But also a big piece I wanted to share. A big piece of that is also learning in life the value of life. Yeah. And so at that time, I grew up, of course, growing up in church. My parents, they brought me up and very involved. My dad was a worship leader. My mom was always a Sunday school teacher. She was everybody's. She's probably your Sunday school teacher at some point in time. She was. Yeah. But my dad, being sick, he got sick and was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. But just before that, he had colon cancer, but he was healed. Yeah. God touched him man, it's gone. And we're like, yes, God.
Yeah.
Okay. So when pancreatic cancer came, I thought, yes, this is going to be a good opportunity to God show off again.
Yeah.
All right, do it. We're going to believe. No sweat.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
My dad went fast.
Yeah.
My dad went fast. And, but in that transition period before he passed, I was able to really value his life and get to hear stories. And some of the most important things he shared was, I have 2 younger brothers, you know that.
Yeah.
2 younger brothers, but he shared to us that there's so many things in life we do, we achieve, we have goals, schooling, work. And my dad had come a long way. You know, he grew up in East LA, Boyle Heights.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure I was never going to be growing up in the gangs or anything like that. Yeah. I mean, he got in trouble if we even looked like it, right? I couldn't even joke around, and my dad was going to take care of business right there.
Yeah,
and because he wanted, for sure. And he wanted us to be educated. He wanted us to make sure we dressed, we spoke properly, we were educated, and we served in the church, and we're going to be all in that sense.
Yeah,
and so we did. But he said the most important things though that he had in life didn't even matter, because he couldn't take anything. No, he had a nice Corvette, anniversary edition, I think it was 1976 or 77, somewhere on there. Anniversary edition vet, nice home, beautiful family, right? His kids are awesome.
Right, amazing kids.
But he said, I don't get to take anything with me. You know, I'm going to die. I already know. I feel it already. So I'm at peace with it. I need you to be at peace with it. And I want you to know, though, the only thing I get to leave for you is legacy. And it's legacy of following Christ.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that matters. After that, man, when you connect with God and you serve, you're going to be able to make a difference to so many different people. And we have no clue exponentially what that does to their families and life and futures. And so he said, that's all you got to focus on. That's the most important thing. Yeah. And I said, okay, Dad. So that was right. All of the timing we were having these conversations. You know, I didn't even get to tell my dad I was going to be a pastor. Yeah. I wish I could, man. I would love to. He showed up at everything, man. I wanted, you're going to make me cry. He showed up at everything. Yeah. You know, and so I know he would have been coming to church to see, just to be there, just to be there.
He would have been the loudest one in the room.
Yeah, he would have. Yep. He would have been yelling, amen, and glory, and everything else. Yelled my name, whatever. I don't know. He's funny. But but that was all part of how God was really developing my story to say, okay, now do you mean that prayer? Here am I, send me. And I said to say, okay. So my wife and I, we prayed about it. We always pursue other people, mentors and pastors and family. And I thought for sure there was going to be a lot of people that say, nope, that ain't it. That's not you. Don't do it. Everybody came together and said, I knew it. Even my own brother. My brother said, I knew it. I'm like, dude, you're the one I thought for sure were going to tell me. No. We all grew up, growing up in ministry. There's no way. I thought you would have said, become a pastor full time. Yes, do that. So everybody said. And so it came down to my wife and I talking, having the conversation together and saying, okay, well, it looks like God's showing us this. Yeah, right. I said, okay, but we don't have to. And she said, what do you mean? I said, God never forces us. He doesn't force anybody. He doesn't force us upon his love. Yeah. He gives freely, but we still have a choice. Yeah. And I said, okay, well, if we're going to take this, then let's do it. But if not, it's God sovereign. I don't know if we're going to be punished or he could say, okay, I got something else for you or I don't know. But I said, let's take a chance on God. I said, who gets this opportunity? In so many things in life, we all have, life is made up of so many different small decisions, different things. Maybe only in the movies do you get the big heroic moment and that changes everything, But this actually became our kind of really fork in the road and big crossroad where we could make a change that's going to change the course of our entire lives. Yeah. Career-wise for me, for sure. Because I went 100% ministry. I wasn't trying to do part-time or anything. Couldn't do it. Right. Yeah. And I've learned, I'm glad I didn't try because they would have killed me.
Yeah, for sure would have.
In this role. Yeah. But figuring that out, and I said, and we get to make a decision. If we take this, we get to, for one, be a difference for our boys. Mm-hmm. They're always going to have this reference points now where our lives completely change because their lives are going to change financially, but also everything else in life how much we're involved in church and what we're doing, building, planting and going and growing from there. And they're always going to remember because they all have to make their own decisions. Yeah. They all have to choose for themselves, follow Christ or follow myself or whoever else or anything else for that matter. But I said, but I want them, they're always going to remember. I want them to remember that why did mom and dad change life? Why do they make these decisions that it does make no sense, from an education point, from a financial point, from investment, anything like that, unless there's something amazing about that. Why? And I want them to, they're always going to remember because how much we love Christ. And Christ called us and how much he loved us, that we were willing to go all in, to sacrifice everything, to say, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But let's just go.
Right.
Let's do it. Let's take this chance.
Yeah.
Let's take an opportunity to be a part of life changed. We're going to actually be able to see God do amazing miracles that we can't take credit for.
Yeah.
We can be a part of it, and we're going to build teams, and we're all going to be in and build the church.
Right.
Only God can change hearts. Only he can change lives. And we get to see it.
Yeah.
And we get to be a part of it. So many people's lives now. I said, let's just say yes and let God do whatever he's going to do. And let's go along for the ride. Let's go on the journey. And so that's how we got to this point of jumping in, even to say, because I didn't know how to be a pastor either. I didn't have that training. You had some great classes, great mentors. I got to jump in, just trying to remember what I saw growing up, different pastors I was under and serving under. And here we are. We jumped right in.
Yeah. There's, so many routes that I want to go down.
Yeah.
But one, you joke about not knowing or not having the training, but Matt, you are so knowledgeable. Not only in the word, but like you just know how to embody the pastoral heart. You know how to shepherd people well. And I think that, as you literally explained everything, I think that is how you got it. You know what I mean? Just living every day with that viewpoint of like, putting Christ at the center, seeing how my dad's legacy was the same, and really pointing after that, and how often, I went to school for, I went to Bible college, but I met so many students, even students that were older than me, students younger than me, that it was all about gaining the knowledge or gaining theology, having, trying to be puff up the chest type of deal. But then they get wrecked when they get into ministry or anywhere in life because they miss the point of having the Holy Spirit dwell within them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's something that you have taught me well. Cause you've taught me, I don't know if you've know as much, but you taught me so much about how to be a pastor. And a part of it is the way you were with my siblings, because they're all musicians, and just the way you took them under your wing to teach them, but not only teach them like how to play or how to do worship, but like how to worship. And I just remember that was so impactful to see that. And just to see how, because I do want to talk about how you were, you were in a very successful job, very successful position, probably on the trajectory to retire early.
That wasn't the plan. That was, I won't lie, that was on the plan.
Because you were doing really well, and then this literally falls on your lap, and you have to make that big decision, which is, I'm sure it was not easy to look at, but if I keep going, we can have a really good financial backing. We can have really good,
we're gonna have a good time.
Like we can go across the country, just whatever it is. And then now to being like, okay, we got to reduce that a little bit, but at the same time, just finding the fulfillment of Christ, being like, no, this is where I'm calling you towards. And so could you elaborate like your process on that of like, okay, I really have to think about this. Cause you kind of touched upon it, but like, were the boys upset?
Well, and the boys didn't know what to expect. They didn't grow up with us already being pastors. It's really, and so I'm not sure if they were young. So I'm not sure they really knew what it meant to be kids to be a pastor's kid, PKs, right? I didn't know, I didn't grow up as a pastor's kid. So we didn't know. So we're going to learn together along the way. So they didn't know. And we didn't know exactly what it meant. We've seen a lot. We've been a part of a lot. And so we knew kind of some expectations, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's going to be all, because it's still people, right? We're all working with each other, whether we're at work or school. And at church, it's the same people. We're all, so we got to learn along the way how that all changed and affected us. And we really did learn along the way.
Yeah.
And we continue to have conversations learning through this.
Yeah.
What it means, to be a pastor for me, because I still think, and I still am me, I'm still Matt Chavez.
Yeah, correct.
But I'm a pastor now. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I get to be a pastor.
Yeah.
But I also know that God's called me to now higher and to
right.
really keep pressing into him more and then pressing into the word, to keep getting closer to him, because it's easy for me. My drive is, education, or it could be work.
Yeah.
And so I can dive into that way, but I got to keep pursuing Christ first.
Yeah.
Right. That could oh, wow, this is the work part, and I'm going to work hard and it's going to produce success. That way I could think. But I always had to say, nope, got to be Christ first. My relationship with him first. Because if I ain't got anything, I don't got anything to give out.
Right.
But how am I gonna love on people if I don't have my own love for Christ and what that really means? So we've all been learning along this together, talking about it. Some noticeable differences. I remember one of the first things, my son told me, he was young, my oldest was young. And he said, well, Dad, do we still get to stay in the nice hotels? And I'm like, well, that might be different. We're going to be doing a lot more camping, We're doing that. We'll still get to stay in hotels. Yeah. But and I said, but that's okay. I said, we're all going to be together. We're still going to do vacations. We're going to just figure out different things.
Yeah.
I said, maybe we don't always get the nicest kicks, or whatever. But I said, but if that's what you want, then we save more, or we work harder for them. Mm-hmm. I said, but that's okay. I said, we're all going to be together.
Yeah.
And we're going to be a part of a movement where, we don't know exactly what, but God is doing something amazing. And we get to be with it and see what God does to other people and families and lives. And I said, it's going to affect our own family.
Yeah.
Extended, not just our immediate family, extended families, because now we have an opportunity to reach so many cousins.
Yep.
You and I joke, we have so much family.
Yeah.
But we still have a lot of family that's not saved.
Correct.
Or that knows Christ and is maybe chosen to do other things or live differently. And I'm tired of losing family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to see no more family dying early because of different decisions, or losing more friends that way, And if we have the opportunity to make a difference, dude, I want my kids to see that and to say, like, you were part of them. And they are getting to see that. Yeah. I'm grateful for the fruit that God has allowed us to see already thus far, even 5 years in. Yeah. Because my boys have been able to see friends' lives changed. Yeah. We had at one of our youth groups, we had one of my son's friends. He was, we've had some Buddhists, we've had some Hindus, and they give their lives to Christ and say, I want to be a part of this. Yeah. And we're like, what? How does that happen? Right. Yeah. But they've been able to see that. They've been able to see God do amazing things through them into their schools, how it carries over now into life, and that's just not just that church that happened in that one building. Right. We didn't even have a building for 5 years, right? Until we got the new building. Yeah. But to see God move and how we're the church going out, making a difference, and God has used, my boys to be able to reach their friends. Yeah. And to reach coaches, to reach teams, and just to be the light, that we get to do wherever God takes us. Yeah. So we continue to learn that together. Yeah. I wish I could tell you, here's the book. Maybe we'll write a book, but we didn't have a playbook about that.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the beauty of being a pastor. There is the privilege of being a pastor, of being able to study God's word and not have the stress of like, I have a second job, or sometimes you have to be bivocational when you're a pastor. Yeah, for sure. So you do learn a lot, but when you step into it and you really allow I remember one of my professors, he was telling me, he's like, you can get your master's in divinity anytime. He's like, but let's be honest, it's not going to teach you how to sit with a family that lost their father or lost their mom, you know what I mean? Like, we just teach you how to read big text, you know what I mean? And just write papers and stuff, which again, is a good thing too. Yeah, for sure. But I think everything that you're explaining is like, I'm just following Jesus, and I'm literally he's the one speaking through me, as long as I'm open to his word and open to his spirit and can move and think about that. Like, you have different kids of different backgrounds. Yes. Knowing Jesus, not because you had some great debate or like, like really good convincing, 40-minute lectures, but instead of just being a Christ follower, just being a child of God, like you were able to do that. Yes. And it's impactful. I definitely want to go back to one thing that I didn't notice was how much of an impact you can make in your own family when you decide to do ministry full time. And it was really cool. The biggest one is hard for us, obviously, is our two cousins that did die. And I think it was pretty much back to back. It felt like it was back to back.
It was. I think it was only a year apart.
I think a year apart. Yeah. And I just remember Micho's funeral, Taylor, who is his daughter and our second cousin, I guess. She called me up, and that was when she's like, I want you to speak. And I was like, what? I didn't even know you thought of me like that. And I just remember,
you thought you were just cousin Drew, but now you're Pastor Dru.
And how big that is. And I just remember it was hard. It was hard to stand up on there on stage. But what was really cool was seeing our families together at that time, and knowing whoa, this is people we know Jesus. And then there's some that I know you don't, but this is why we're here too. And so to have that is very, I learned a lot through that.
Sure. That impact, that influence.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's not that we're telling them. Right. It's just they're seeing what's going on and why does that family different?
Exactly.
We had a big celebration of life.
Yeah.
And a real celebration of life. It wasn't just we're going to call it a celebration of life. And be completely different. Yeah. It was lively and of course we cried and laughed together and but still enjoyed it, but we really were able to celebrate life. But that's only happens when people see the real joy of Christ.
Yes.
And that
correct.
peace.
Yeah. Which we can talk about it if you want, you don't have to, but when your dad did die during that time, it was it was shocking, and then at the same time, you didn't get to say, hey, I'm gonna be a pastor, I'm full-time ministry. What was that like? Were you mad at God? Were you why did you do this question. Now?
No, it's a good question. I wasn't mad at that. I wasn't mad. But I had a lot of questions. Why, God? This is a pivotal time, and you've blessed me with a great dad. And we had a great relationship. I'm like, that's my mentor. Why are you going to take him now, God? Right. I know. I'm not going to be, jealous because you're going to take him with you. I know I'll see him again, but why? Why? But that was actually one of the big things that I had asked God to give me in that season before becoming a pastor. As I said, okay, God, if you're going to take my dad, and it looks like you are, you're going to take him. I said, if I'm going to be a pastor, I need to know how I can relate to people, knowing with some big losses and what the real peace looks like, talking about peace, because it's hard to describe when you're actually going through it and what it looks like and feels like. But I could say, I did ask God, I said, okay, God, we're going to say yes. We're going to become pastors. I said, but I need to show me what that peace looks like. Cause I want to be able to talk to people more when we're having one-on-one conversations and people are saying, oh yeah, we're going through this. And I'm going to say, oh yeah, God's peace be with you. But if I don't, I just kind of know that maybe the surface feel of it. Right. I want the experience, the whole experience of it. What does it feel like? See it. And I said, God, show that to me. And I want you to show my mom and show my brothers and our families. And through that, when my dad passed and going through the whole ceremonies, we had another big celebration of life, right? Huge. It was fun. We had the choirs and singing.
It was fun.
And even the pastor of that church at the time, he had said this, wow, I've never seen a funeral like this. This is like having church. I said, absolutely.
Correct.
For sure. And so we experienced, that kind of peace. Who the Prince of Peace can only give. You can't get that from anybody else. That kind of peace. We got to feel it and see it, and to see within our family, our friends. And I saw my mom saying, "It's okay, son. I'm going to be okay." She loved my dad, and he's with Christ now, and I'll see him again. But we still got life here. We still got things to do, and we still have purpose. We still have plan. And I was like, okay, Mom, I guess if you're telling me, I know it's real. And then my brothers and just all of our kids and our wives, and just to see that. So that, to me, that was a gift, a gift that God gave me in that season of even in my dad passing, which for me really catapulted me to think and believe that God can do anything. Nothing's impossible.
Right.
To be able to feel that, to see it, to taste it.
Yeah.
It fueled everything to know, like, I know that I know that I know, who Christ is, and he's my savior. And ain't nothing going to stop us now,
Yeah.
If it's all, whatever God does, I'm not even going to worry, because it's all on him. That's what's kept me humble too.
I bet.
Because I also didn't know, what I even do as a pastor every day, what I do during the week. I had to learn rhythms and what God, what we do as pastors and the roles and growing and all that kind of stuff. But that's been that's a lot what kept me humble too, is because I didn't know. I couldn't say I've been educated in this. I've had 20 years in business. I had 20 years experience, recruiters are calling me, hey, we want you here and here. I'm trying to learn. What do I do? I had to go out and find new mentors and new friendships and people to connect with, to learn from. So
you touched up on a few things. I think for us being pastors, the blessing that comes from all of the suffering that we've been through helps us to show that Jesus is with us, with other people that are going through a lot. Because I'm sure even within the 5 years, I'm sure even within the 6 months of West Co being launched, you were already handling families with death or with illnesses or with just hard things. And I'm sure you're like, as much as I went through this thing, I can help this person. Like I can be there for this person.
I can direct them.
Yeah, correct. Like I'm
direct them right to Christ.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Which I think there's a beauty when God calls us to this type of life. There's a beauty to that suffering, to walking with people in it. And I mean, I've had countless of people where I genuinely have no clue what to say. You know what I mean? Because I can't. Sometimes it's like, well, God is faithful, and it's like, well, no, he's not, because this happened to me, and he said he would, or somebody prayed this over me, and it's like, oh, I got, and just sometimes God's like, hey, just be quiet. And just have a meal with them. Sure. And by the way, you went through this too, in this way. Why don't you share that? And how powerful that can be. And just to see hope, people have hope again, is huge. And I think that's, I'm sure you have a lot of stories. That's
my favorite part, is being able to, see people come to life when they know there's hope. There's hope. There's, that Jesus is hope. And it's just connecting to him, connecting back to the vine, and really allowing him to show us what peace looks like. It might not happen instantly, but here's the journey, and you're not alone. He never leaves us, and knowing that he encourages us, and he has the Holy Spirit, of course, in us, right? To empower us and really, and he brings amazing people around us, and he brings a church to us, and we can jump into that through community or serving and different things, aspects like that. So it's just amazing.
And that's like something you taught me, even coming from the business world. I remember we had a conversation, and you said that you're in sales, so you're a salesman. Yes. And you said the best way to get, what would you call them, clients, right?
Customers, clients.
Is that you were not fake with them. You weren't trying to show you weren't trying to be fake. You weren't trying to manipulate them. You realized that the key is to have a relationship with them, to be your authentic self. And I think that obviously helped you when you stepped into this role to realize, like, you're right. I can't fake being a pastor. All I can do is be myself. And if you speak on learning that from a business mindset, and then straight to ministry,
straight to that. For sure. And that was, there's so many connections from there. From being able to relate to customers, going back to the business world first, being able to understand customers' needs, understand what they're looking for, what are the gaps. And I would always say, I can't do that, but I can do this. Here's some solutions. Here's some products that fit that. Or let me point you to there's some other better vendors that are going to connect you. Because I always just wanted the relationship. Right. That was the way I always did business. I want the relationship first, and they're going to call me when they need something. If it's something, a lot of people didn't even know what I sold. They would say, what do you even sell? You're in national accounts, and I don't even know what you sell. Oh, well, let me tell you, because I just wanted to be relational. And so that's what I learned in becoming a pastor, was I wanted to be the most relational pastor that I could be, because I felt God gifted me that way. And that's, you pointed that early in the beginning of our conversation, is I'm all about people. Pastor Jeff asked me that. He said, "Why are you in sales?" I said, "Because I love people."
Yeah.
He said, "That's what I want you to do as a pastor." I said, "Okay, then I'm in."
Yeah.
And because I love people, I love being able to walk with people. I don't know all the answers, but I know who does.
Right.
Right. And I'm the connector. I'm just the connector. I'm always going to point you to Christ some way, somehow. Yeah. And just love, and just walking with people. Being able to have the conversations, to talk, to sit down, to cry. Right. I'm a good crier too, in case you haven't noticed. Right. I can do, I love, just being with families that way, and knowing that we're going to make it somehow. Yeah. Right? Somehow, just knowing, like, I feel like I'm going to keep on going on. Right. You just keep going on. Right. Christ, as long as I have breath, I always believe that. As long as I have breath, I have purpose. Yeah. And so just trying to figure out what that plan is, always trying to figure that out, but God shows us along the way. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I heard this thing, I didn't make this up, but I heard it and I was like, that's very relatable, is that pastors are not the ultimate shepherd. They're not the main shepherd. They're the sheepdog. Yeah. And they're the ones that are, understand the mission, understand what we're doing, and we help. And I love how you said that. I just help you get connected with God. Yes. I help you point back to God. We are not Jesus. We are not the answers of everything. But we can walk with you. And that's literally being the hands and feet of Jesus and what he calls us to do. And even when he says when he commissions us to go and make disciples of all nations. But something I always found very fascinating is that go is not this fast paced, got to get you into heaven, got to get your ticket.
So hurry.
Get out of here, hurry, Yeah, exactly. I could go down that rabbit hole, but but instead it's just on your way of life, like on your journey of life, go and make your disciples. And I think you are the best example of literally doing that, of walking your life, kind of like what you said. Like I really had to reflect and being like, did I miss it? Did I miss this? And this is what makes me unqualified or whatever. And but in fact, Jesus was like, no, I needed you to go exactly where you went. Exactly. For this time, because you were going to know exactly how to reach the people that are hurting in the city of West Covina, and everybody who goes through our church. And I mean, just to see where the church has been through, and I mean, going through the pandemic was tough. And then
I always thought that was fun. I thought that was God's way of saying, joke's on you. Now you're become a pastor. You got to learn how to do that. Oh, by the way, you don't even have a building, and here's COVID.
Yeah, correct. And you, I mean, essentially you had to launch twice.
Yeah, for sure.
And now officially, hopefully, finally launching a third time in your own building.
In our own building now. And, here we go.
Talk about that journey. Not only are you a pastor and kind of very new for you, but now you're in a load in, load out campus.
Set up, tear down. Now we're in our building. We're in home. We're home now.
Which is, I mean, talk about God's faithfulness.
Yes.
Through that.
That's pretty amazing, because for one, we learned a lot though through that. Through being a setup, tear down. The closeness, the unity we were able to experience. Depending on God, every week, are we gonna have church or not? Okay, it's not even our building, but we don't know. Did they open the doors for us? Can we get the lights on? Is the AC on or heater? It's not any of it in our control. It wasn't our building. But being able to go through that, I mean, we built such a tight team relationally. That we all did life together, and we counted on each other, and we carry that in to our new home. We wanted to keep that closeness. We call it the West Covina vibe. It's that relational.
I love
that.
And
we always talk to our teams as we want to keep that a piece of our, no matter how big we grow, we want to keep that. We're all family here. We're connecting, and we make mistakes and we mess up too, but we're going to keep on doing it. We love God and we love each other. So let's keep on, let's go. So we've been able to grow through that, and getting to the new building, it was pretty amazing, because from day one, I'm a sales guy. So from day one, I was already thinking, okay, what's next? I'm already thinking ahead. Leader wise, I'm thinking, okay, what's next? Where are we going? What's the vision God's showing? Okay, God, you brought me in. I don't know what we're doing, but what's next too? I got to start thinking. And from day one, I was already looking to see, how do we find a building? Who's open to rent? Or how do we, I had to have backups for the backup because in case, the city decided we can't come to the community center anymore. I don't know. We never knew. Right. So we always had to be ready, but we were always looking. Yeah. And coming into the building, it was pretty crazy because like only God could do it. I can't even take credit at all, that God brought us to where our whole church began before ONE&ALL becoming CCV. We were CCV. That's where we started. That was where our roots, the beginning, the whole origination and birth of Christ Church of the Valley. I think it was called West Covina Church of Christ.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the exact building where our entire church began. And so what an honor. You know, I'm also very honored that we got to be the church that came back to home, to where it all began, and to be able to have that, call that home again. Yeah. For our church, and then for us as a campus for West Covina.
Right. No, I remember when we were like hearing the rumors of it, and I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. To know that we have the possibility to get this building back. And then once we did it, I was like, okay, God, like splitting the Red Sea here. Like this is awesome. Yeah. And just see the growth. I don't want to say in numbers, because it's not that. It's the growth in the people. Yes. The people that are there. Yeah. Like when you talk to somebody who goes to Westco, you know that they know Jesus, and you know that they are in the process of knowing Jesus. Yeah. There's just something about the West Covina campus that is very special. And I'm probably biased because you're the campus pastor. So I'm
Thanks, Drew. We'll take it.
But truly, I think anybody who tells me like, I think I want to be a pastor, I think I want to do, I'm automatically like, okay, you got to talk to Matt. Yeah. You got to talk to Pastor Matt because that is, if you want to know what it's like being a pastor and what it is and what it takes, like this is, you're the guy. You know, go to Pastor Matt because he will tell you exactly how to be a pastor. Yeah. So I'm excited for the West Covina campus when it launches. Yeah. It's going to be so awesome. A lot of tears. Yeah.
For sure. A lot of celebration. Yeah. And it's so cool though, because, I alluded to a little bit talking about how we started as a setup teardown. Our team is amazing. And our team, and that's really the heartbeat of our campus, is because the team, we want to know everyone's name. Yeah. That's always something we always challenge you to, because we're growing now. It's getting harder. I'm over 50 now, and it's but I want to know everybody's name. And our team, we want to know everybody's name. Correct. And so that's what keeps our relational aspect, kind of keeps us focused as we continue to grow and move on and growing that an aspect. But the team, we want the best team experience possible, because when our team is feeling loved, seen, respected, and appreciated, man, our team is inviting people to church. Our team is inviting people to serve on the teams. Correct. And our guest experience goes through the roof, because when people are feeling seen and loved and appreciated, we're always going to love on people now. Yeah. Now we're able to, to just reciprocate that. Right. Show the love of Christ to everybody. Yeah. And so that's what I love about our team. They're all 100%. In. Their hearts are in. Our team, I can go on forever about that. I was
going to say, your team is awesome. Jess is, how many kids do they have now? 3, 4?
They're on their third.
They're on their third. Yeah. They literally have 3 kids, and Jess is like, either has 2 or 1. And then she's like the campus. For those that don't know, Jess Vines is the
our campus director.
Yeah. Just even like seeing her at West Covina, and just like how passionate she is, and just the hard work that she's put in. And then you have, and I'm not saying this because my film editor is her husband. But Desi is the worship leader.
Our worship leader,
how powerful she is. Yeah. I always love it when she leads worship.
And anointed, and just connected to the Holy Spirit, which just flows.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
And her husband is literally the best. Yeah. I love him so much. And he's one of the best editors ever. This guy is going to get an Oscar one day.
He will. I know it. I believe it.
I love Jordan. He's behind the scenes for a lot of the videos that you see. But your team, just going back to your team, there's like you said, we can literally go through because when I was there, you had Jason, and Jason's still there. And
we call him Dr. J. He's on production, running our production team. He did the setup team. We have Yesenia, Pastor Yesenia, our kids team.
That's right.
Man, we're already growing to, how many? We have over 100, almost 100 team members for our kids team. And we're able to love on the kids. All ages. And awesome. Pastor Luke hitting up our youth.
Carb King himself.
The Carb King. So just their hearts. And to know that their team is being cared for, discipled, loved, appreciated, and that they want to be there and they want to invite people. Because we're still evangelistic.
Correct.
We always want to be inviting people to church and bringing people to leading them to Christ. And so that happens when people feel like, hey, I'm a part of the team. Want to come be a part of what we're doing? Come to our church, So we love that. Absolutely love that we get to do it together.
No, it's super awesome. I'm excited. Again, I'm excited for West Covina's launch. And it's just going to be super exciting. Matt, we're come to a close.
But
it's
time to go.
I think we're for sure going to do a second one.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Because I have more questions, like something that you said that we can talk about later in the next one.
All right, episode 2.
Just to keep your mind going. But I love what you said. You said we are becoming pastors, and that includes, you're saying me and Steph, are becoming pastors, and that's really interesting. And I definitely want to dive into that because not a lot of pastors really think of it as the husband and wife becoming pastors, even though it's the husband that gets a position or and so I think that's an important route to go down of you guys are one unit and just to see what you guys have been doing.
That's another piece of
correct.
The big piece of my team. My wife, for sure.
So that'll be on the next one.
All right, because sounds good. I'm glad I get an invite to come back.
But thanks for being on. Love you, Matt.
Love you
best
too,
pastor I know.
Thank you, man.
Excited
Appreciate
to see Westco, and you're awesome.
Thanks, man. Love you, baby.
Love you.
Thanks, Drew.